form show.
Can we play something?
What you want to play? Okay, we're gonna.
I gotta play the music as long as I can get away with it. I gotta put my alchemy on. So
you gotta do some ad hoc music.
Rihanna, I love you. Please allow me to use your music to hype the people up for the revolution.
Who's this?
This is Rihanna.
Oh,
Cockiness. Have you heard this song?
No, I you know it's funny. No, it's funny. I'm not a millennial, man. So I
it's
know
not
a
Christian song, but I just
well, this ain't a Christian show.
You know what happens to me? Sometimes I just get like the song just pops in my head and I gotta go looking for it. Does that happen to you, or is that just a me thing?
That happens to me.
I'm gonna say, you gotta turn the volume down on the other end.
Okay, I'm turning it down.
All the way down.
There it is. There it is.
That echo from last time.
Bam.
I can still hear stuff. I can still hear stuff from your side.
I don't know why you can't.
All the way down.
Oh, I know.
Is your volume on your laptop? That echo from last time.
Yeah, let me turn it off. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear
me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So I think we're okay now.
I think we're okay. We're on Facebook.
Looks like DeAndre Ash.
It's going to take us about a month. Hopefully not a month to work. We just want to get going, man. The technical stuff we're trying to fix.
It's all good. We hear the people are here. Let's greet. I'm trying to figure out how to pronounce his name.
Which name?
Dondere. How to put the phonetics in the comments. Tell us how to pronounce your name. I appreciate you watching, joining us today. So yes, I'm Lolade Bola. This is Evan.
Hey, I'm Evan Park. Let me make sure I'm positioned right. I'm Evan Park, and this is Unprecedented Episode 3.
Yay.
Now, what is unprecedented? Unprecedented. We are promoting, celebrating, what else are we doing? Critiquing and celebrating film and entertainment in the Black diaspora. For everybody. That's what we're doing.
Storytelling.
Storytelling. Black storytelling.
It's gonna probably mostly be aspirational because Evan watches all the stuff. I don't watch everything.
Well, it's not that I watch all the stuff. It's a particular type of stuff I like. So
so tell the people what you like, Evan.
I like the stuff where, if you let me put it like this. If you ever watch the show, The First 48, I delighted in watching that show. That was like true crime, and that stuff didn't disturb me. I kind of like the gritty, I like the gritty. I like the stuff that, if you kind of have a sensitive spirit, as long as it makes sense. If it's just gratuitous, I have no part of it. I don't like it. But if it's part of the story and it feels like messy, like real life, sometimes you get down, sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. Those are things I like. And those stories a lot of times are not that the other opposite type is not, are very truthful, very honest. And but sometimes they're rough to watch. They have these rough moments. And for example, Fruitvale Station. I love that movie. One of my favorite films. Missy Mbola, Lolade has not seen it.
I haven't seen it. I'm still black. I'm still black. You can't take away my passport.
Yeah. No, you can't take that away. You can't take it away.
I can't watch it. I tried to watch the 5 Blood. I just can't. I can't take in. So we have different tastes, which is one of the things I'm excited about because there'll be some nice friction there. But I can't watch the depressing stuff. I used to watch all of it. I remember binge watching SVU like one weekend, when I was in corporate, it's like at a certain point, like those images just get exhausting. And I just want everything to nourish me. Everything I engage with is like, you got to be pouring into me. Otherwise, why are we even doing it? You know what I mean? So that's why the art that I consume, yes, every once in a while, I love a good, like a Kill Bill, any Black Kill Bill. I've been watching Queen Sono, there's violence, people get shot, they die, but the Black power element is stronger, more like, nourishing than the violence.
Yeah, that's true. Something about the Kill Bill, particularly when you're talking about Quentin Tarantino, there's something about his violence that's just so over the top. You're like, okay, this is not really going to happen. Like Kill Bill. Kill Bill's kind of like that.
Excessive.
Right? It's just excessive and it almost gets to a point where you're like, this is camp. But it works for Quentin Tarantino, right? That's why he has such a huge following. But Kill Bill, except for if you see Reservoir Dogs. We're not here to talk about Quentin Tarantino, right?
No, we're here to talk about Residue.
We're here to talk about Residue. We're here to talk about
Residue. If you heard about Residue, if you watched it, put it in the comments. Let us know, because I am so fucking excited about Residue, about discovering the Gerima family. Like, I didn't know anything about them. I might have heard of Haile Gerima once upon a time in passing here and there, but ultimately, like, this is brand new to me. So I'm just really excited to know.
Well, let's tell people what Residue is, so they know. If in case they haven't watched it. I said watching. Ooh. Okay, Residue. You can find that on Netflix, right? It's written and directed by. I hope I'm saying his name right. Merawi Gerima.
Merawi Gerima from Ethiopia. I believe.
From Ethiopia, yes. I believe he's the son. Yeah,
Ethiopia or Eritrea, because they do not like. Well, I know there's a bit more peace now.
Yeah, that's true. I think Haile Gerima is from Ethiopia, so I believe he's Haile Gerima's son. When I was checking, so he comes from
Ethiopian,
right? Filmmaker royalty. Now the film is The film is about a filmmaker who wants to write a script about his childhood. He returns home to an unrecognizable neighborhood. I'm saying it again. Filmmaker who wants to write a script about his childhood returns home to an unrecognizable neighborhood. That neighborhood is unrecognizable because, you know. What's the magic word?
The new colonialism. The always colonialism. They've been gentrifying from jump. Like, they're always gentrifying. It's not even a new thing. Like, they never stop gentrifying ever.
No, gentrifying is not a new thing.
Say that again?
No, it's not a new thing. It's just that this is a different word.
From the time they met Black people, they've been gentrifying. They've been polishing up. Let's read your definition. What was the definition that you got from Google?
This Google definition, which I can't say, and I don't know what you're gonna think of this definition. I can't say. When I read it, I was like, there got to be a better definition than this, right? Because this just sounds too suspect.
We need to redefine it. I don't think they know.
But Google says the process, gentrification, is the process of renovating and improving a house or district so that it conforms to middle-class taste. The process of renovating and improving a house. That's what I found. I tried my best to find something better. That sounds very. That sounds like a bit much. What'd you say?
I'm asking the people what they think of that definition, because I think it's hilarious.
This is hilarious. I'll read it again. The process of renovating and improving a house or district so that it conforms to middle-class taste.
Who's middle-class taste? Who gets to define what middle-class taste is? Some white guy at Google?
a white guy at Google.
A white guy at Webster?
Well, what a middle-class? Well, let's in the film itself, right? Okay. Well, let me stay on just gentrification. Middle-class taste. So when I think about gentrification, right? There's two things that come to mind, right? Number one, someone said this to me. I stole it from a friend of mine. I think she said it brilliantly. She said that what you see when gentrification comes is we don't want necessarily, quote unquote, the gentrification. We do want the services that come with gentrification, right? You know, so all of a sudden, like, you know, you're not eating. What was the real low budget? I hate to I'm not trying to disparage nobody's supermarket, but I'm just gonna be honest. In LA, right? There's a supermarket called Food for Less. Now you go to Food for Less to get chicken, right? It ain't the same kind of chicken you're gonna get at Trader Joe's or Whole Foods. Just not. There's more fat on it. They probably food co-op. Right. Exactly. You might find some feathers on it. Somebody fully feathered that joint. You know, you probably gonna have, you know, definitely gonna be some hormones in it, right? So you're gonna have more services a lot of times when gentrification comes, which is great. But if you sell your house, and that goes to our Black power, that goes to power. If you sell your house for cash, for whatever reason, right? Because a lot of times I'm not an expert on urban renewal like that. Then you lose out on this house, and so you can't really get them services anyway. Your next generation can't get those services. Those new services are coming. And typically the people who are buying these homes or buying these properties, they're going to their generation. There's about 2 or 3 more generations going to get this property, going to get this land. And you'll never see it. Your kids will never see it. And you have to start all over again. So this film talks about, right, that this filmmaker coming back to his neighborhood. It's in Washington, D.C. And he comes back, and gentrification has, He's been gone obviously a minute, but still some of his people are still there. Some of his boys, from on the streets, and they're not very appreciative of him being gone so long, which is interesting. You know,
what about the scene with the stair? Do you remember the scene with the stair?
Which one? Now there's a couple seasons.
It got a whole lot of commentary on Twitter. So there's a scene where I gotta look at the character's name.
Oh, wait, you mean Delante? Delante, his boy, the one who had a lot of beef with him.
The one that hates him. The one that hates
Delante. Yeah, I love that character, by the way.
He's like, I want to make a film.
Yeah. That was, no, it's funny. Okay, let's go back. We try to keep some audio. First of all, let's say we both like the film, right? We both like the film. Right?
Oh my God.
Right. We both like the film. I think it's a film you should see. I'm sure Lolade does as well. It got 95 in Rotten Tomatoes. For anybody who knows Rotten Tomatoes, you know, if you see a 95 from critics, you know, that's impressive, right? Anything over 70% in Rotten Tomatoes, go see the film.
It's golden.
Yeah, go anything under that 70%, you know, wait till it comes out video and watch it when you got other things to do like laundry and you ain't got to sit there and waste your time, right? But a film like this, good film. A couple things I really like. It talks about some of the strong points, and there going to be some spoilers in here. So just, you know, but it's not going to take away from y'all watching the film.
Yeah, we're gonna give spoilers, and I just want to say something about spoilers because for me personally, like I just want to see how the story is executed. I want to see how, like that's what I watch for. So I don't care. You can tell me those spoilers. It's like, but how do they tell this story? Like, what do they give to this story? So if y'all don't like spoilers, you might want to, you know, turn the volume up, down.
Right.
About that.
We're going to talk about some spoilers. So piggyback on what you just said, that's probably my favorite part of the film, how this filmmaker told the story. And I also sort of said as well to Lolade, Merawi Gerima is definitely a young filmmaker to watch. What I loved about how he told it, and I came to understand it better when I watched the interview. It was a very collaborative process. None of these actors who I thought were phenomenal, right? And I was looking for them after. A couple of them, they weren't even actors, but it was their first film. So a lot of the performances, you got to give credit to Gerima for directing them in a way that fit the story.
Listen, Evan, I thought I was watching a documentary. I was like, this is not a film. I was like, this is a documentary.
Right.
I have never. Have you ever seen acting like that, where you felt like you were watching a documentary? Because I haven't.
No, it's funny. No, but I definitely felt like going back to that character, Delante. You know, who obviously this is. And I put him down here as one of my favorite performances. The brother's name I think is. I'll get you his name now. I had it written down here. Danny Lindsay. I'll get your name. Well,
Danny Lindsay. Okay.
Right, I believe it's Danny Lindsay, correct?
I have to pull it up.
Yeah, but he did an excellent job. What you see with a lot of the performances, going back to the documentary style, very subtle, very powerful. Particularly him, even Mike, the brother who played young Mike. You know what's great about their performances is like in the moments you see them react and respond, you see a lot of the history and weight that's behind the response. You know, when you have him, when you first meet Delante and him at that fence and the cop shows up later, right? And he's asking for his boy Demetrius, Delante's response, you see everything about his trauma in his eyes and in his response. Then you find out later what his trauma was, which I ain't gonna tell nobody. Unless y'all want me to tell somebody.
Comment if you want to know what his trauma was.
No, we shouldn't tell him. Go watch the film.
Everything.
All right, we tell everything. I'm good.
People like spoilers can't watch this because I'm gonna give spoilers when I'm talking. I can't analyze a film or project without giving spoilers.
We got to give spoilers because we watch the film, and you know I don't think us giving spoilers is going to ruin it for nobody.
It shouldn't. If we have to come to these projects with, you know, more curiosity, you know what I mean? And not just like, oh, I want to be surprised. Right. Instagram is doing this thing where it keeps on like wanting to kick me off. Now I understand why you were getting kicked off last time.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just going to warn y'all in case I get tired of touching the screen. We're live on Facebook and YouTube as well. So if you go to Noir Press YouTube, you could catch this. All right. Yeah. So you were talking about Delante.
Yeah, that I think is a lot on Merawi because most of these actors, Mike, the brother who played Delante, most of these actors, it was their first opportunity acting. So
what about
I give like
Obi? If it was his character was played by Obi. Let me get his last name for you. I'm pulling up their IMDb.
Yeah, he's a long Nigerian. I believe it's the Nigerian last name, correct?
Yeah, he's Igbo from what I could tell.
See, you know that.
Yes.
Yeah, I looked at the name thing. Yeah.
Him and it was really exciting. He was played by an Igbo character. So that's interesting. Okay, it's not I'm trying to see what the ratings, pulling up the Wikipedia for the film so I can look at give everybody the actors' names. But let me get his last name.
Huh?
Google white TV. Sorry. Wait, I can
find it.
Because white people, like, we're so far down on the freaking like prioritization of Google content. You got to get to like page 5 to find the black residue. So we just need a black Google. It's like let the black results come to the top. All right.
Obi Noir NWACUKWU.
And what?
Noir Chukwu, not Chukwu. The brother who played, right? The brother who played.
Oh, you got some noise going in the microphone. What is that?
Oh, that's probably just in my notes. Sorry. Hey, you got to bear with us. How you pronounce it?
Obina Nwachukwu. And the Igbos will probably come from me. I'm probably not saying it perfectly. Nwachukwu. It's not Nawa, it's Nwa. So the N is only vowel. Nwachukwu.
So the Igbo is gonna come from you more than me because I'm Jamaican.
If you tag an Igbo who could break down the spelling, if you're watching, who could break down the pronunciation for us. But yeah, his performance. I mean, that's the thing. I was just blown away by the performances, the acting. I was just like, wow.
Yeah, wow. And you got to credit the director, particularly when you have a lot of inexperienced actors.
I want to see if he'll host if we could do like a roundtable with him and his crew. So tag Merawi if you know him to tell, let's get that popping off. But I would love to ask those questions of like, how did you, pull this juice out of these brand new actors? Like, what was that process like? You have to, what did he have to do with them? And maybe he didn't have to do much, so.
Well, he probably, sorry, Lolade, I'm sorry about it.
No, I'm saying, I think, it might have been effortless for all we know.
A lot of that may have come from just him observing his father. He talks a little bit about that, Haile Gerima. I don't know who's seen Sankofa, but a lot of that came from just his. I don't want to use the term prodigy yet, but for this being his first film and how he put it together, and then also Ava DuVernay's company is distributing it.
Mm-hmm.
That says a lot about his potential as a filmmaker to me.
Why don't you want to call him a prodigy yet?
I kind of do, but I you do, but
this is his first film, and this is the best shit I have seen in a long time. I mean, it's just a completely different dimension of art,
right? Yeah,
when it comes to film, this is a completely different, everything worked for me. Everything worked for me. Every single minute of that film worked for me.
Now, there's one part that I was confused about. Remember, I told you, Lolade, and maybe you could tell me why it worked for you, because maybe I don't understand as much. There's a moment of rage at the end, right? This moment of rage at the end. Well, not at the end, near the end. And then what happens after that moment of rage, you kind of puts him in a situation where he defeats the purpose of ever rectifying whatever situation he says or what he feels is a negative impact.
Tired. He's so tired. He doesn't even care what the outcome is going to be because he's like, listen, I'm not going to take this disrespect sitting down. Gentrification is extremely disrespectful.
It's very disrespectful. Let me say, it's
a logical decision for him to make to go after them, but we Black, we got passion. We got so much passion.
But let me say this too. Flip side of that, you're going to see this also in the film. He addresses a lot of just the neighborhood elements, right? So he's getting this disrespect also. Many times we're getting this disrespect, right, from the whole process of gentrification and what it does. Goes to his parents' house. People have already sold their houses for cash, right? No one's telling them to do that, but they're doing that, right? When people are selling their houses for cash, right, many times it's hard for me to understand if and it may be, and not judging them, that they're thinking in the moment, and they're not thinking transgenerationally. No, often the people that are selling their houses for cash once those houses are sold, they will never be, once those houses are sold, that family is going to have that house for the next 2, 3, 4 generations, And so that family is thinking, a more long-term. Sometimes, I don't know what the personal situation is, but sometimes some of these people are selling their home because their children just want the money, or did they not, maybe, to the cash now. I went through that with my family. Another thing too is just so that for me, we have a lot of power more power than we think we do when faced with the issue of gentrification. But then there's another side to that. What if we don't sell, right? And some of these situations don't move in, and some of these services don't come, then is neighborhood going to change, or are they going to be like Haiti and just say, well, forget it, y'all want to keep your house, then we're just not going to bring no services here. Maybe I'm just oversimplifying it, but I think we got a lot more power.
It's they, they, them, they're right. Like, are they going to bring this stuff to us? Right. But what about our own, our own money and our own power to bring those resources, to create and nurture those types of resources for ourselves? You know what I mean? Like, that's one of the things that always struck me about gentrification, because, I was in Brooklyn from 2005, came back in 2006, and from 2006 until, I went to Yale, I was in Brooklyn. So that I watched a lot of that transition, Franklin Avenue, like I watched a lot of these things happen before my eyes, and I was like, oh my God, like this is how fast you could just like spring shit up. It's easy. Just, I told you, bring up buildings all over. So why don't we have, so why is it that we don't have that kind of development in our neighborhoods? Like, those are the questions that we have to target a bit more, I think, directly, right? Like, how do we transition from where we are now, where in a lot of these neighborhoods, we don't have, they bring the deli with the oldest, like you said, food for less, the deli with the oldest salmon.
With the most GMA induced chicken, GMO,
like
juiced up chicken,
Domino sugar, and all of the, all the liquor. We have access to all of that, but where's the kale? Where's the quinoa? Where is the brown rice? None of that shit is in the hood, right? And so, how do we transition to be able to develop and create these things for ourselves?
For me, and that's a large conversation. People say that you have to attack things sort of multi-dimensionally, I guess that's the term, but for me, it all starts with having that money, with the economics, and we can get into that. Next time on the whole other podcast. But so when I look about gentrification, I think about that stuff. I remember even with film and media. I remember being a kid in Brooklyn, pre-gentrified Brooklyn, Bushwick. Matter of fact, talking about things changing, I went back to where my old elementary school used to be. And there is now the church across the street is still there, but now it's condos with a zip car location on it, right? I remember right across the street from that, on the other corner, there was a bodega on Bushwick Avenue in Weirfield, and seeing when they talk about in the hood seeing your first dead body or whatever, seeing somebody had gotten robbed and shot, and I was there on the corner like with my boy Joel. I remember this, never forget this. And outside the bodega, I don't know if the person they were trying to rob the bodega or the person owned the bodega, and the person was on the sidewalk, deceased, and he was there. I remember the image. I remember he was a Latino man. I remember he was probably middle-aged in his 40s. And then I was up on the sort of porch of my friend's house on the corner overlooking it, right across from our school, because his father founded the school. And then, if you've been in sort of these neighborhoods, and by the time the cops come, they put the big gray blanket over them. You don't see them anymore, right? So now, right across from there, this is the hot spot, Bushwick. They got zip card. Everybody's there. The people who actually are able to sort of sustain are the people who don't sell this, who don't sell out, who are already thinking transgenerationally by the time that people come there with cash and say no. And I know people who've done that, say, no, we're going to stay here and we're going to pass this on. And then you hope that your children do the same, but they may not.
I think that's where the indoctrination and the mindset comes in. Like you said, like, why is it that we're not thinking along these lines? And, of course, like you said, that's a whole other episode.
That's a whole other episode, right?
But yeah, it starts with the mindset, right? Like, but I don't want to blame gentrification on Black folk, because there's a lot of folk who clearly wouldn't have, the resources to say no, right? And so I think one of the things that I felt, I remember a scene in Residue in which Jay's name, in which Jay is like walking into his parents' house, and you kind of feel, even though it's a decent looking house, it kind of feels cramped. It's dark, right?
It's cluttered. It's cluttered.
It doesn't feel light and prosperous. It feels like they working night and day to just hold this place together. You know what I mean?
And they still own another house. They still own another house too.
Oh yes.
That's why they didn't sell.
I know I'm gonna watch this film like 7 times.
And that goes to what we were just talking about. They decided not to sell. They kept their other house in the neighborhood, and they're renting to their son and to a young white boy upstairs. Somehow I think they figured it out. Right? They said, something, we won't keep this house. Y'all keep putting these papers on our house. We ain't gonna sell it to y'all. And by the way, we've kept our old house and we're renting it out.
That's real.
And that's real to me.
And I think that's the example.
That's the example.
Go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right. That's the example.
No, because that brings me back to some of these, and we'll share the Twitter. There's a couple videos I saw on Twitter, and the introduction video that I sent to. I think I sent it to you, Evan, but I posted it. I posted on Northfest, if not all the Instagrams. Right. But basically, Merawi introduces the film in that clip, and he's talking about how this is a weapon that we will use against anyone who are trying to destroy. That gave me chills. I was like, "What is happening? We are ready. We ready for the revolution."
The weapon of film.
The weaponry of film, and so when he said that, I was ready for a bit sharper of a knife when I watched the film. Like, I thought he was gonna he gave it to white people. He definitely gave it to white people, but I was expecting some, so I think it was really poetic the way that he used the film as a weapon, just everything. So film as a weapon is also something that his father referenced, right? So in the clip where Haile Gerima is talking about, he says that South Americans call film the new hydrogen bomb. I think he was referring to South Americans. That shows a profound understanding of the power of media, which is what we were talking about in our last episode. Right?
Absolutely.
So you literally blow up people's minds based on, the stuff that you show them.
I think media. I feel like media is probably, and I'm not even going to say this. Somebody can prove me wrong. I don't care. I think media is probably the most powerful tool to shift narratives and impact people's minds. Because media, oftentimes, entertainment media, any kind of media, because oftentimes because media, you can touch people who can read, people who maybe can't see but they can hear, people who can't, who can't read, right? You can be illiterate, right? But media can impact you somehow. You can or you could be somebody who read, maybe you don't have access to TV. I know of a guy who wrote a book. His books got translated into 22 languages. Some guy in a prison all the way in Malaysia read one of his books, changed his life. This guy left. It wasn't Malaysia. It was maybe the Philippines. This guy got out of prison and it became the president of the Philippines, right? And it impacts now not just this man's life, but how he governs over 80 Philippines, probably 100 million plus people, right? So media, whether it's publishing, whether it's news, like honest news, not news where they just spin. If I could spit on this chair, you get it, right? News, animation, whether it's for Adult Swim or for kids, it all impacts, man. And I think it's the most powerful form, because why it's the most powerful form, in my opinion, is storytelling. Storytelling was around before everything, right?
Right.
It was around before everything.
Right. Yeah. I want to read a little bit of information. I think we should wrap up in the next 3 minutes.
I can do. I can do. Oh man, what am I doing here?
I want to read a little bit about Haile Gerima. He is a leading member of the LA Rebellion film movement, also known as the Los Angeles School of Filmmakers.
Right.
Basically, are you familiar with this organization?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not.
Sounds like they're extremely radical, so I'm really excited that they exist. And he was born in Gondar, Ethiopia. And there's a quote where he talks about the unconscious representations of colonialism, and the unconscious effects that media has on us. So, who did he say this to? This is published in a book, From Kung Fu to Hip Hop. So he says, as kids, let me give the author's name, From Kung Fu to Hip Hop by Cato, M.T. Cato. As kids, we tried to act out the things we had seen in the movies. We used to play cowboys and Indians in the mountains around Gondar. We acted out the roles of these heroes, identifying with the cowboys conquering the Indians. We didn't identify with the Indians at all, and we never wanted the Indians to win. Even in Tarzan movies, we would become totally galvanized by the activities of the hero and follow the story from his point of view, completely caught up in the structure of the story. Whenever Africans sneaked up behind Tarzan, we would scream our heads off, trying to warn him that they were coming. Isn't that powerful? It's
very powerful. I feel like I've heard this before too. It's very powerful.
I think he teaches. Did I read it already? I feel like he teaches
at Howard.
Oh, he teaches at Howard.
It's Haile Gerima, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's best known, for anybody who doesn't know, he's best known for Sankofa. We talked about that a little bit earlier. So I'm really grateful this family exists. I want to find more filmmakers like them.
Absolutely.
Like them, Absolutely. Definitely want to bring them out onto Unprecedented and whatever other forums we can create around them. But yeah, I'm really blown away by the work. So ultimately, Residue, go watch it.
Go watch it. It got 95 Rotten Tomatoes. If you follow Rotten Tomatoes, watch it in the middle of the day. It's an art film. It's an art film. Don't try to get started on it at like 10 p.m. at night.
People might fall asleep. I watched it at like 2 a.m.
Yeah, okay? I can't watch. It's slow. The pace is slow. That's why I say that. Not because it's bad. Because typically for me, maybe it's just me. I can't watch slow paced film at 2 a.m. But it's an excellent film. The acting is excellent. I think I love the fact that it's a Black distributor. Array is distributing it. That's Ava DuVernay's company. Also, as far as Ava, yeah, and also what else was it? Yeah, and also the storytelling. We didn't get to talk about this. This just style of directing was very, very unconventional. I know we got to go, but I love the scene when he goes to the prison. Remember that? Yeah, see her reaction. That scene was like, was like, to me, that felt like it's going to be one of Gerima's signature things. Like how, you know, when you watch a Spike Lee film, somebody's standing still and they're moving forward, right? And you know that Spike, they're moving back and forth, then nothing's going on. I feel like Gerima, this is going to be some sort of signature in Gerima that makes sense. You know, it actually didn't take me out the story, and it was hyper creative, man. I've never seen that done like that. I never have. I don't know if you have, but I really enjoyed that. So go see it, y'all.
I've never seen anything like that, and I just thought, thank God for this, because this is what we be doing as Black filmmakers, you know, and this is the standard. This is how we get to set the standard. This is how we get to determine, you know, what kind of films are made. Is just like literally producing our dreams, our own ideas, our own. So when you know, when you talked about the scene where Jay attacks the gentrifiers, the colonizers, the first thing I thought about was just agency, right? That's one thing that is lacking in so much Black content is just Black agency. And so I thought it was extremely powerful in that sense. So a lot of the white media, you know, is focused on gentrification and the, you know, the invader experience, et cetera. But I want us to think about this film as an example. It's very rare that we get to see and feel stories in which we have the power. And I think in spite of what was happening, this film still made me feel like we had the power, right?
Yeah, right.
His family, you know, was holding on to their property, et cetera. But I also just felt power from the poetic voice with which the story was told. You know, where Mike's body is hanging out the car.
Yeah. And even you get to understand.
When white people normally, or, you know, Hollywood, you know, portrays Black death, it's like all up in their face. You know, it's like, it's like nobody looks at a body like that, right? Nobody has the view of like a car windshield, you know? That is exactly what you would actually see is, you know what I mean? His body hanging out the car. Wow. And then there was a scene where I think when they got Mike's mother into the car, just little things, like super, super tiny things where you're just like, oh my God, this Mike's a poet. I was shocked to find out that Merawi wrote, directed and edited the film. So he really got to control his vision in that process. And I think
it took him a year to edit the film. A year.
I didn't even know that. Wow.
It took him a year. Wow. You know, yeah. So
I'll finish what I was saying about that scene, and then you close us out. But yeah, the scene where they take Mike's mother and put her in the car, and that was his mom who played that role. He said in one of his tweets, he said that she wasn't even acting because she's that before. So I want to know more about that. But yeah, like Jay, you know, Jay's father closes the door and doesn't close all the way, and then Jay closes the door. You know what I mean? And I feel like in most Hollywood productions that would feel contrived, this film just really felt like we were following everyday people on their lives. You know, it did not feel, it felt like I was immersed in an actual reality of what was happening. And I think that is, when we talk about signature, like that just doesn't exist as far as what I've seen. I'm going to go back and watch some of his father's stuff, Kofa. And I feel like he has a couple of other films out there in the world. But that's extremely powerful if you can make Black people this human, you know, and this real and this soft, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I love that term. You made him very human.
Yeah. All right, let's send this video. So
we'll close out. Let me say,
Prof. Gerima, if you're watching, you know, big hugs, much love, big ups to you guys. We appreciate you.
Definitely. Keep doing your thing. And also some of you actors in it, was it your first time? Keep acting. You know,
let's list the actors. Actually, let's shout them out real quick.
Let's shout them out.
Let me list everybody. So Jay was played by Obina or Obi Nwachukwu. He's on Twitter. I saw him on Twitter. Delante also was played by Dennis Lindsay, who I believe is also on Twitter. Blue was played by Talene Stewart. She's done, I think she's brand new. Has she done some stuff before?
I think she's done some stuff before.
Yeah. Mike played Mike, known as Duran Rizovat.
Dion is Jamal Graham.
Dion, Jamal Graham, Jay, I guess another Jay.
That's
Jakari
young Jay
died.
when he was a little boy. Jakari died.
Demetrius was Julian Salmon, Levon Melody A. Talley, and Reggie Raymond Johnson. So shout out to all the actors, all the performers. You guys in the
shout out to you guys. Yeah.
Shout out the white boy Christopher Winter. Party host. He hosted the party. And then, I don't feel like we don't give enough credit to the crew on projects. And so, when I reached out, I asked if we could bring, some of the people behind the scenes on as well, into like a roundtable conversation. But it was produced by Alex J. Bledsoe, and cinematography was done by Mark Giavaratham.
Giavaratham. That seems like an East Indian name.
Big shout out to every last one of you guys. You did an incredible job. We are so grateful for this project.
Absolutely.
All right, Evan. So close us out.
Let's close this out. But before we do that, I want to tell you where to find us. Tell the people where we can follow you, Lolade.
Yeah, so if you're watching this on Instagram, make sure you hit that follow button on Instagram. YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Facebook, also make sure you like our page. Join our mailing list at NorPress.com/join. We got a fire, sexy newsletter coming out every couple of Wednesdays. So you definitely want to be on that list to know, what's dope and what's glorious across the Black diaspora.
All right. You can follow me on Instagram at Evan the Conqueror or Aramathaea Media Capital, both on Instagram. If you want to support this host, you can join my store. Follow my store, PakariGlobal.com, PAKARI Global.com, for more excellent content.
Yes,
from both of us. All right.
I go into ourlabs.org/donate. We need all the tax deductible support we can get. All right. Appreciate you guys.
God bless you guys and join us. We'll be back next week with some more with some more shenanigans.
Very soon.
Very soon. Blessings.
Take it easy.